Hello, what is up, guys? This video is a book review of a book that I read in the last year twice, okay, called Psychology of Money by a guy named Morgan Housel. This book has saved me literally millions of dollars. It is something that is so vital. Okay, let me just tell you, my main profession, what I do is sell on Amazon, okay? We have built brands from zero. We buy brands. We have software that does Amazon. Anyway, that's me. I know several people who started on Amazon, sold millions, and their entire company has crashed to zero. Millions. Also hundreds of thousands or even tens of thousands, and then it disappears or things happen, okay? But my own company, my wife and I started this in 2015, okay? Zulai Kitchen. This company went bankrupt, almost went bankrupt 3 times at least. And 2 of those for sure would have been prevented if we would have known what's in this book. And one of them possibly. Okay, so I'm gonna just go through chapter by chapter. I read this, I think the last time was about 2 months ago. Okay, I'm just gonna read the titles of these chapters and tell you what I remember from it, okay? Because really, the things that I remember might be, for me, the most important things. I have highlights and stuff, but I said I need to make this video because I made a post and people said, yes, I wanna hear the book summary. Not the book review only, the book summary. What is in this book, like the cliff notes. Look, I know most of you guys, not most of you, some of you will never read this book, okay? There's some of you guys that haven't read a book in a long time. And some of you do read these YouTube things or listen to them and get some things from there. So look, if that's how you want to do it, I'm going to see if I can give you some of this and give you as much information so you say, wow, you might need to read this book. It's actually quite easy to read. It's amazing. Here we go. I'm going to start. First one, chapter. No one's crazy, okay? This is awesome. This one gives you an idea that, look, what might seem crazy to you in terms of money might not seem crazy to another person, okay? This is more than just about money. This chapter really talks about life in general, okay? Who are you to judge somebody? A person who, and the example they give in this book, low income, okay? Very low income. This bracket of income, the people that make this lowest bracket of money, buy the most lottery tickets. This is a statistical fact. You can look it up, at least in the United States. Why would you say that a person would buy the most lottery tickets if they have no money? It statistically makes no sense. Your chances, it's basically worse than going to a casino. It's basically a bad choice. So you have a person who's like, hey, why won't you buy lottery tickets? That's dumb. Why would you do that? No, this guy's saying, listen, back up for a second. Because you don't know what that person's been through. You don't know why. You don't know the trajectory and the history and this stuff. And they said, look, if I have this little tiny chance, I'd rather do that. Yes, maybe they would make more money if they put it in some stock account and some this, or put it in some crypto or da-da-da. But listen, they don't know that stuff. That person, what they know is, hey, there's at least 1 in a million chance that I get out of this thing. And yes, even further, the fact that a lot of people that win the lottery lose all their money and end up worse than they were before. No, listen, it's not about logic. It's about where the person is at and what they're feeling at the moment. So before you get into someone saying like, how could they do that? And like, just pause for a second. Because everybody has their own decisions of why they do things. And just try to understand that and try to, not be so crazy about it. Further, if I remember from this chapter, depending on when you were born, okay, your life will have been totally different. And the stock markets would have been different. Inflation would have been different. Recessions would have been different. Depressions would have been different. So in fact, let's say you live right, you were born maybe like myself, okay, in the 90s. And you'll say, okay, well, look, inflation is not so bad, like whatever opinion you might have, that is going to be highly influenced by when you were growing up, where you were. For example, people who were in Venezuela, 1980s or earlier, there were times when like the dollar, the bolivar, okay, but the currency there went from it was 7 bolívares to $1. okay, and then overnight went to like 30, and then went to like 60, and right now it's like something like a million. It's a stupid number. They've done it one or two times already, maybe even three times. They've deleted 3 zeros. Anyway, he doesn't talk about bolívares in this part of the book, but I'm just saying, if you grew up in that, you're gonna be scared of holding on to cash. Now, if you grew up in a time, in like 1950s or a long time ago, when you had money in the bank and it gave you 3%, 4% on your money in the bank, you could be like, money's amazing, and there was no inflation. So depending on where you lived, you could have different ideas. So before you push something, okay, that's all I'm gonna go for the first chapter. It's not like the most important chapter, okay? Next one, this one is amazing, called chapter number 2, Luck and Risk. This chapter is one of the best, I would say, in the book. And he says there, you don't have to read like consecutive, you can pick a chapter. So if you're like reading chapter 1, you don't like it or whatever, go to chapter 2. This one is amazing. First of all, know just how you can get lucky. Okay, just how you can get lucky. You can also be unlucky. Or there is risk involved. Just how, yes, maybe you did something really great and you had this tremendous luck. If you believe that you could be lucky, you also need to believe in luck's close cousin called risk, meaning things can go down unexpectedly, like things that nobody expected it could happen. You can't believe that the same good circumstance is just going to happen every single time, because there are everyday disasters that happen that are the worst that have happened ever, in a person's life. Every day, many people experience the worst day of their life. Were they expecting the day before? Most of them no. But this kind of stuff can happen, okay? COVID can happen. The stock market can crash. There could be a tsunami. There could be a hurricane. There could be, not just all these, disaster kind of stuff, but there could be a smaller thing, okay? And just know, if you think you can be lucky, you also need to know that there is going to be risk involved. And a key point is, do not plan on everything going exactly the way you are planning. If you plan that way, this is so important, guys. If you plan on everything going exact, okay, I have I make $2,000 a month, and I have a $1,000 payment here, $400 payment here, $400 payment here, $200 up here, and if that goes exactly for 2 years, then I can get enough money to do this, and if you just plan it perfect. Or let's say in a business case, okay, I'm gonna borrow this money to do this product. This product, it by itself will go and it's gonna sell, and because it's gonna sell within 60 days, I'll pay this short-term loan, and all that thing is gonna happen exactly because I've had 10 before that all did perfectly. I did 10 products that all did amazingly. The 11th one should be fine, right? I mean, of course. If you make it so you are relying on that other one going well, you've made a grave and drastic mistake, because what happens, it has a very high likelihood that it won't be exactly like all the other ones. So you need to plan when you're doing this. Hey, what is the worst case scenario? I don't know if the book talks about what is the worst case scenario, but he just says know that he basically does say you need to plan on things not going according to what you're thinking, okay? What can happen here? And plan for things that you cannot expect, right? Like you could say, oh, I can expect, it could be a rainy day. I can expect for the taxes to go up. I can expect for my expenses to go up. And you plan all things that I'm planning for all that. But you need to plan also for things that you don't know that can happen. You don't know that can happen. And if you plan for all of that together, you're in probably a better situation. And it doesn't mean you're not being aggressive. Okay, this is a key point, because some people are like, well, I like to take chances, I like to take risks. Of course, if you're in business, you're in entrepreneurship, even if you're just in this world, okay? If you go outside, you're taking a risk, okay? You could get hit by lightning, you could get hit by a car. If you live on this planet, you're here, you live in this world like the rest of us, okay? You are taking risks, period. So, the point is, everyone's gonna take risk, but if you plan for things that you do not expect, you cannot even conceive of it, then you can take bigger bets, because you have that, call it a safety net. And it's not just cash, it's other things. But basically be prepared when that thing falls, you don't get wiped out so you can't participate. For example, if the stock market totally crashed 2008, all the real estate guys, all the guys that went totally bankrupt because they were taking risk, but they took a little too much risk, okay? They over leveraged, right? They were wiped out, and when the real estate market was at the cheapest, they had no opportunity to buy. So the point is, if you are able to survive, that's the number one thing. If you're able to survive long enough, you'll be able to take advantage in times when it's the best time to scoop up, get things cheap, take advantage of the market. Like the best times, as long as you do not let yourself be over risk and be totally wiped out of money, of a job, of their career, of whatever, then you'll have the chances to be and get and be lucky because you'll be there and you have the opportunity when the opportunity's there. Good, next. Never enough. Okay, this one's pretty straightforward. I think a lot of books talk about this, not like super, actually no, this was, never mind, I take this back now, I remember. I'm thinking about it. Okay, never enough. There's always a point in your life where you need to know what are your goals. Because if you don't know how much money you want, how much money you need, there's a key point. It says in this, do not risk, and I wish this one, you gotta go look at this part in the book, and I'll see if I look, no, I'm probably gonna do it. So look it up, but it says, do not risk something that you have and you need for something you don't have and you don't need. Okay, I'll say it again. I have my health, I have my family, I have friends, and things that I need. I have food, I have a roof over my head, I have people that I trust. Okay, those things you need, I need them. Maybe I don't need all of them, but I need a lot of them. I need some of that stuff, okay? And I want to have it great. Now, why would you risk that for something you don't need? For example, a person that has, let's say, $500,000 they're making every year. Like quite a bit amount of money, because in this case, a lot of examples are people who have a ton of money. If you're making that much money, why would you, let's say, go to Las Vegas and put $500,000 on a blackjack table and then put your mortgage on the blackjack table? Or like, obviously it's not all blackjack, but people do that. You think, of course, well, I wouldn't put that in the casino. You won't do that. You won't do it. But people do that all the time in, let's say, business ventures. They'll put their mortgage, they'll put their car, they put all these loans that are on, put everything, and even if they don't need to, okay? Example, there was this guy, forget the name, but he was like the number one, he was like the first stockbroker guy that ever existed, like in the history of the world. And he became a billionaire in the Great Recession, the Great Depression, sorry, because he basically was good. And you get on what's called a inflated head, excessive head, swelled head. The swelled head, your head gets big. You think you're the hot shit. You are the bomb. You are undefeatable, invincible. I felt this way before. And at that point, you are likely to take more and more risks. So this guy, he ended up taking big bets. And in the stock market, you could basically, if I have, let's say, $10,000, I can put it in and do, I think it's called shorting, where you are basically saying you're going to buy at whatever price it is, or you're going to sell it at whatever price it is. Or I'm not totally like, stock market is not super like my thing, but you basically say, I will sell it at whatever price it's going to come at. No, I'm going to buy it at whatever price. Oh God. Okay. So let's say the stock is $10. Okay. I can say, look, no matter what, I'm going to buy this price at whatever it is now. I'm going to sell it to you now, and I'm going to buy whatever price it goes. Now, if it goes, no. I will owe that much. Okay? So I'm going to buy it now, and then whatever it is later, I'm going to owe that much. Oh, God, sorry. Okay, this is the worst part of the video. I should delete it. Point is, you basically put in like $10, and if you go wrong, you could owe $1,000. If you put in $10,000, you could owe $1 million. Okay? Because you're saying you're going to buy it at this new price. So maybe it's like, oh yeah, I think that's what it is. It's at 5 cents now. You're saying, I'm going to buy it at whatever price it is in the future. And then it's like 1,000. So then you have to buy a bunch or something like that. So you could literally lose like 200%. So this guy who became a billionaire and super rich, literally probably one of the top 10 richest people in the world at that time. Do you think he needs more money? for any reason whatsoever at all. No, he doesn't. But you know what he needs? His own sound mind, his own spiritual well-being, his family, his health, and some money. He needs to pay at least his house and his food and whatever. No, wasn't enough, and going, blah, 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 blah. And then getting to bigger and bigger bets. Eventually the guy went bankrupt, and then he killed himself. Well, that's terrible, okay? But the point is, why would you, look, why do you need more if you have $1 billion? Again, that's not for everyone with $1 billion, but let's say you're making 400,000, you're making whatever. You don't need to take everything you have and then go put it in a stock thing where you can have a big risk. If the risk can make you lose everything, it's not worth taking. Great example in the book is Russian roulette, okay? If you had a Russian roulette, which is you have a revolver, you have 6 bullets, but 6 holes, but only one of them has a bullet, and say, you can play this, but listen, you'll get $1 million. If you don't get shot, you get $1 million. Will you play the game? Sounds like freaking Squid Game, right? In the movie Squid Game, they all want to do it, or the series. They all want to play anyway, okay? But look, in real life, are you going to take this thing 1 in 6 chance that you're going to shoot? And by the way, in that one, every single person, only one person made it. So at that point, you go oh, hopefully that wasn't a spoiler or whatever, but everybody dies. So that was terrible. And the chances are really bad. Oh God. You wouldn't play the game. It's not worth it no matter what. You have your health, you have your life. Do you need $1 million? That much? No, it's not more important than your life and your respect for yourself. Okay, next one. Compounding. This one's amazing. This chapter talks about basically you have to stay in the game a long time. Don't take, your risk can't be enough so that you can entirely lose everything. You have to take risks that could put you back, and then you could get back bigger, and you do that, right? Jeff Bezos talks about, if you have a chance to 100 times your money, 10% chance, so 90 times you're gonna lose all your money, you should do it, right? That's the risk you should take. But you could afford to lose whatever money you're putting in there every time. It's not 10% chance I'm using everything I have. You should take these good risks that you're more likely to win money than not. But you shouldn't risk everything that you have, because then you're back. So if you stay in the game and you get compounding, money, 20%, in some real estate you get 20%, some stocks, things like that, you can get 20% on your money. So if you have $100,000 and you invest it well, you can make 20. And then that 120 that you now have, you put that in, and that makes another 22%. Basically says, keep doing that, you're gonna have a lot of money, okay? Because Warren Buffett, the difference is, he's been doing it since he was 16 years old, 14 years old, or something like that. He's 84 now, and 22%, and now he's one of the top 10 richest people. Why? Because he started a long time ago, and he's basically on average made 22%. That's Warren Buffett's record. 22% increase on his money for his whole career. If you're on average growing 22%, and you start with almost anything, nothing right now, you're gonna be ultra mega rich. That's basically what it's saying in the book. Okay, getting wealthy versus staying wealthy, that's chapter 5. Very important point, because a lot of people make money, lose all the money. A lot. Back to the lottery example, but it's quite common. I've seen it myself. People make money, they lose their money, make money, lose their money, make money, lose their money. Number one thing is here, I think this is from the chapter, but for sure this is from the book. Being wealthier, having money is a very simple equation. So simple, it's kind of dumb. It's what? But it needs to be said. Whatever money you make, you spend less. That's building wealth. If you make $10 a day and you spend $1 a day in everything, you're building wealth. $9 a day, you're getting more rich every day. And if you compound that, then you're going to get even more rich. Okay. But people a lot of times, they make, let's say, make $10,000 a month, or $3,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $50,000 a month. As it goes up, a lot of times their expenses go up with it, and then as soon as that income goes down a little bit and not growing like they were expecting, boom, you now have more risk. Again, a lot of these things go together, right? That's not good. Don't do that. Don't please, just don't. Why? What's the purpose? You don't want to make all this money to then lose it all, right? That happens a lot. Baseball players, NFL players, you probably know a lot of these things. But if the entire NFL read this book and understood it, none of the guys would go broke after they made all their money. That is, in my eyes, a total 100% fact. Why? because they wouldn't take risks. Their expenses wouldn't go up as high as their income, first of all. Two, they wouldn't take risks that could totally wipe them out. That's what happens. You take risks that wipe your entire self out. So anyway, just pay some attention to how to stay with your money that you have. Okay, it's pretty simple. Okay, tails you win. I forgot what that was about. Tails you win. Chances. Tails you win. Oh yeah. Okay. So, quote. An investor can be wrong half the time and still make a fortune. Okay, that's correct. Okay, goes back to that Jeff Bezos quote that I was talking about. If you have a 10% chance to 100 times your money, you should take it every time. Why? If you're wrong in this case, not even 50% of the time, you're wrong 90% of the time, you still make money. Why? Because the amount that you win and the amount that you lose are totally separate things. Okay, if you take a chance, and again, I don't like stocks very much, but if you bought a stock, let's say Tesla a long time ago, whatever, you have a chance to have 100 extra money. You bought some crypto, you bought Shiba Inu or something, Dogecoin when it was like 0.00001 cent or something, you potentially could make a ton of money. And if you lost on 99 other coins, you would still be up a lot of money, right? So the point is, the way that you structure it, the chances, your upside on a business venture, your upside on many things is much higher than what you can lose, unless of course you're doing shorts or things like shorting the market and stocks, which again, I don't fully understand, but I was like, I'm over that already. That's pretty much that. Probability, that's important. Freedom, now there's a chapter on freedom. Okay, well, that's a good deal. The point is, and Grant Cardone talks about this in his book, How to Create Wealth and Investing in Real Estate, which is another fantastic book. Oh, in fact, I read The Psychology of Money because Grant recommended it, actually. He said, hey, you should read the book. So I said, okay, I'm going to read it. So literally amazing. So point is this. Grant said, listen, the happiest people that I know in business, in stuff, is basically real estate people. Why? Because in real estate, you have pretty low risk and not that much work. I mean, you do have work, but like, if you have a building that you want to build, like these landlords, you have a landlord, that guy owns 100 apartments, he has a company who manages and does rents and raises rents and blah, blah, blah. How much is he doing? How much? How much stress does he have from the business? Everything can be destroyed. Not too much. So that's Grant. Okay, back to this guy, Morgan also. Essentially saying, he gives some statistics of really, really rich people, and the richest people and the poorest people, their kind of happiness doesn't align. It's not like exactly, it doesn't have an exact ratio. The factor that mattered the most was, does a person have control of their time? Now listen, I think you should get super rich. Everybody should be super rich, because anything you can do, whatever goal you have, if you have a ton of money, you probably will be able to do it much better, okay? So, and that's not what he talks about, that you shouldn't have money or anything like that. But the point is, there are some people, they can have $5-10 million in the bank, and they have no time and no freedom to do whatever they want. They don't, like, at all. Like, they either report to somebody, or because they have all the stock in the company and they have to do this, or a million things can make it so you can't. Or you have to tour all the time. You're always on tour. A guy's making, $300,000 a year, but he's on tour 50 weeks at a time. Or you have a trucker who is, making 180,000, 200,000, but they never see the family, never see the kids, and it's like, just because you're making some more money, is that really going to make you happy? So, but it's not. It's more direct. It's like, if you have money, but you can't control your time whatsoever, and you have no freedom, is that going to bring you happiness? The answer is probably no. Okay, it's basically some studies that he talked about there that, like, if you can control your time, that gives you the most happiness. And there's also a level too. Once that was another thing. One of the guys was like, yeah, once I made, I don't know, $400,000 or some amount of money. At that point, after that, none of that money really did anything. Unless somehow you get a Lamborghini, it's gonna really make your day. You're gonna be super excited. Hey, some people are like that. Like when I got my Tesla, I was super excited. It's amazing. Well, actually, when I got my Prius, I was so excited. My first car that I owned, it was actually it was more amazing to get the Prius than to get the Tesla. And right now, I could really buy any car I want, and whatever. Getting that Prius was more exciting. Why? Because when I had my own car, it gave me the ability to go wherever the hell I wanted. So, and I'm just realizing that right now. I'm not talking about this, but the reason was I got that freedom, that I have a car that's my car. I can use it whenever I want. I mean, I had a car. My mom actually did let me use a car when I was in high school, which is amazing too. That felt amazing too. But when you're able to move around, you go to places, that's super exciting. That's amazing. And yes, it's amazing to have some cool toys. Yes, do I love my Tesla? Yes, I love the Tesla. I love the screen that you can listen to podcasts. You know, my daughters want to listen to my podcast. I have a podcast, Ecom Leaders, and they're like, Dad, I want to hear you. And like, we put it in and we listen to me, myself. It's funny. I love my car. But the point is, your freedom to do things is more important than losing that ability and then getting some money. Ideally, you want to increase your freedom and increase your money. Okay, good, next one. Man in the car paradox. Okay, fine. Are they one of these are chapters or my notes? Oh, I'm not even reading the chapters. I'm reading notes of somebody, unless these were the chapters. I don't have the book in front of me. I'm actually out right now. Let's see. Each of the first 18 chapters. Okay, here we go. This one is chapters. No One's Crazy, Luck and Risk. Okay, these are the chapter names. Okay, so, but is that really the name, the car paradox? Man, the car paradox, I guess that is the name. It was strange because I don't remember that title. Anyway, this one I remember was pretty short. It's basically like, hey, I think, was it him driving? Anyway, somebody was driving a car, they're valet, and they always see the cars and they go, oh, I love the car, 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 it's amazing, oh my gosh, oh Lamborghini, oh Porsche, oh blah blah blah, oh Ferrari, oh Maserati, oh blah. They're not thinking, well, that's what this guy's saying. They're not thinking that, oh my gosh, I think the guy in the car is so cool and so amazing and I want to meet him. They're generally thinking, wow, if I had this car, if I had the car, what would I do in this? And they're obsessing about the car, not obsessing about the person in the car. Do I think that having a nice car could help you get connections? Yes, absolutely. So, point is, I think this helps the people mostly that are really excited about these excessive cars and this and think that it's going to bring them some respect. But realistically, guys, you don't get respect by just having a fancy car. Plenty of people have fancy cars and have no respect because they're total D-bags. Whatever. Next, chapter 9. Wealth is what you don't see. This is really important too. There were plenty of people, and I think he gave examples in LA. A lot of people, all of them had fancy cars, and you'd think, oh my gosh, this guy has this Porsche, and he's so cool, and he's so rich, and this. What do you know? This is a fact. This is called observing the obvious, which is something that I learned. Actually, I did a course and taught me observe the obvious. Don't make assumptions, just look at what's there. And even this is, it's a step down from that. You're still assuming something, but anyway, okay, I'm just going to get to it. You see a person with a car with $90,000 car. What do you know? Do you know he's rich? No, not at all. What you know is that he was $90,000 poorer, more poor than he was the minute before he bought that car. That is all you know. If the guy had $10,000 to his name, and he did a down payment or whatever, and now he owes $85,000, he put $5,000 down or something. All that happened, he has a nice car, looks amazing, or he or she, of course. All you know is that they have $90,000 less than they had. That's all you know. You know nothing else. Okay. If you see someone with a nice watch, what do you know? Well, of course, they could have gotten that watch as a gift, blah, whatever. But if they bought it, all you know is they have the watch and they spent that money on it. They don't have it anymore. That's all you know. That's it. If someone's drinking a $1,000 champagne or something, what do you know? They don't know that they're rich at all. So basically, getting wealthy is, if you see somebody with expensive stuff, doesn't mean at all that they're actually wealthy. All you're seeing is that their expenses are higher. That's all you can see. You don't see anything else. So that's basically the deal. Okay. Save money. Okay, so basically saying you should save money. Okay, I mean that's true. I think this is where that thing I was talking about, where like if you make 10,000 and you spend 10,100, you're actually losing money. Like period. So you should have some money. You shouldn't spend more money. That's pretty simple. Chapter 11, reasonable is greater than rational. So on this one, it's a little interesting here. The guy, he gets into some stuff that I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. He's talking about some different drugs and stuff that he's basically like, hey, give me an aspirin or give me some, whatever, various things. I'm not going to give the exact specifics, but okay, whatever. Here's the point. This is the point that guy's making. sometimes it makes sense to do something, but you're like, dude, you're not going to be rational right now. You're going to be just reasonable. Like, just be basically, do the thing that kind of you would expect someone to do, right? Oh, he talks about fevers here, which actually fevers are helpful to recover the body. So if you're trying to suppress a fever, blah, blah, blah. There's different theories on this fever, no fever, whatever kind of thing. But it's basically like, hey, yes, you could explain to like a little, and this, of course, this is totally a reasonable thing he's talking about. You have a 5-year-old kid, he has a fever, in pain, and, you know, the doctor is saying, hey, you should give the guy Tylenol or something, or some fever-reducing thing because, you know, he'll feel better. Well, rationally, if you're like, my dad is a doctor of Oriental medicine and whatever, the fever should not really be suppressed unless it's extremely, like if you have a fever 100, is I mean, you look at any WebMD, whatever official stuff, no place are going to say like, hey, this is going to harmful, the kid could die or anything like that. In fact, this thing is basically part of killing the whatever thing they have. Okay, he's saying, hey, you don't have to be so rational at that moment. Why don't you just take the pill because that's reasonable because it hurts and you don't like it. Okay, fine. I get the idea. It's totally fine. But in money, you can say, hey, doesn't it make sense to put down 1% of your money always because this, but then it's like, hey, doesn't it make sense to never go to Starbucks ever in your entire life because if you save $5, you do this, you know, you'll be a millionaire. Okay, you could say like, dude, I just want my Starbucks. So in some level, it's like, stop, you know, don't be so like exact numbers analytical, but you can use your feeling or something else like that to some degree, as opposed to like, you know, not. Okay, good. Surprise, this chapter is the one where he basically talks about things happen. And I brought this up earlier, but this is the main point of this chapter. There was a tsunami back in Japan, I believe it was. And this tsunami, or it's like a monsoon or some sort of water thing, tidal wave. And it got this nuclear reactor. It was like the biggest tidal wave that had happened ever for like 50 years or 80 years. The biggest in all history, the worst. And it's like, wow. So then they're going to build this nuclear power plant to replace the one that went down or something like that. And they basically, and again, this is all from my memory, guys. This is what I remember and the things that I remember as helpful. Because this is a lesson that I use now. And I think about it. And I'll tell you, circle back to this in a second. But they're like, wow, what can we plan for? Well, we're going to plan for that same tsunami. What if that same tsunami comes every year? Big ass tsunami. We're gonna plan for it. So what they did is they did one that would withstand that one. But then what happened like 5 years later? One that was like 50% bigger came and knocked the whole thing down again. You basically have to know something that is totally surprising, you never expected, worse than has ever happened, will happen. Because it happens now. Like, okay, COVID happened. Who would have expected COVID? No one would have expected COVID. Nobody. Well, not nobody, but anyway. Different topic for a different day. So the idea is, if you think that is the worst that can happen, you're on another planet. You're doing something else. Like you're not using your head. Or you just haven't read this chapter. Haha. Because you could think, well, that's the worst that can happen. What else worse can happen? The truth is, worst things basically will always happen, because I already talked about that. Okay, good. Room for error. This one is basically, I talked about this already, I think, in the risk versus luck one. And again, I'm getting my concepts from what I remember, and I think I talked about this already. Essentially, you need to know, hey, things can happen wrong. Things, you know, you can't count on every piece of the puzzle being exact, right? If you're doing like a puzzle, imagine you're building a puzzle. This is my own explanation. You're building a puzzle. You have all these random pieces, and you'll be like, you have 1,000 pieces. You're like, 100% chance. I bet everything that I will make this puzzle 100 pieces, or 1,000 pieces. But you know, there could be other puzzle pieces mixed into it, and maybe it's not the right one. So how can you say that? So you need to have a room, a margin of safety, basically, to basically say, hey, some things will go wrong, and things can still work out. Super, super important. But again, I went over this already in the last chapter. You'll change. This is also not me. This book is just, I just say you should read it, because talking to me is cool. If you listen to this, great, good on you, but I think the book is amazing. So you'll change. Look, if you look back at yourself 10 years ago, and again, I think maybe this doesn't apply to every single person, right? Meaning, if you look back 10 years ago, maybe your life was exactly the same. But I think the vast majority of people, if you go back to 10 years in the past, 30 years in the past, 40 years in the past, your goals, financial goals, personal goals, family goals, everything that you had 40 years ago will not be what it is today. So when you decide something, just know you're deciding it, but it's not necessarily going to be just that forever, and it's going to change. That's just something you need to know. Like, things do change, right? So don't get so caught up in like, I need whatever, it's you're going to change. So just know that, and don't be like super surprised. You know what I'm saying? Okay, good. Nothing's free. Okay. I don't know if I remember too much of this. Yeah. Oh. No, I don't remember anything about this. Nothing's free. Nothing's free. I think people know that, but I don't know what the deal is on that. Okay. You and me. Okay, good. This is a great one. So, basically, people who invest money in different things, they're gonna have different goals. So, as we just went over, someone might be like, "Hey, I'm 18 years old. I just have some money. I just, started installing solar and I made $10,000. And like, what am I gonna do with this money?" Okay, and they're like, "I'd rather invest in crypto because I have a chance to like 10x my money, 100x my money." But there's a 50% chance your money's going to disappear. That might be fine. Might be fine at that time. But then a person who is maybe 70, and what they're going to put their money in crypto and have like a terrible feeling when all their money disappears. It's like, no. Maybe for them, they want to put a cash deposit thing. The government pays you like 2% to have their money for like 10 years. I think that would be probably a pretty bad choice for them. But again, everyone's different, right? That was the thing. Like, no one's crazy. If they think that, maybe they just before they die, they know that they made another 2% and they're going to gift it at the time of their death to their favorite charity or something, or their kids or something. Like, maybe that's fine. So, but if that was me, I'm like, go do something. Like, go have fun for the last 10 years or make an impact, right? Write a book of your life, interview. There was this guy who does, Pete Vargas. He has this thing called 10x Stages. And he has you interview people important in your life, because you might never get to talk to them again. And then sometimes these people, it's pretty cool, that thing. And the idea is, if that's someone, take advantage of the moment and do something that's important to you. If that's important to you, do that, and don't spend time trying to make more money because you have enough money. Just know things change. I forgot exactly why I brought up Pete Vargas, but I think it's the fact that, look, just do something that's important to you, okay? And depending on where you are in age and this, and also what you're playing. In the stock market, for example, as crypto or stock market is going up and up and up and up and up, and you'd be like, wow, that thing's amazing, and you buy it. But maybe when you're buying it, the person who's buying it, they're just buying it and they're selling it tomorrow and they're making that money. Boom, 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 boom. It's a great thing for them. You don't know that 80% of people buying it are just trying to, pump and dump, they call it. So they buy it and sell it, buy it and sell it, buy it and sell it. And then you get caught up in that and lose all your money. Why? You could think, well, it's a good investment for them. Well, it's a good investment for them because they're playing a game that you do not know. That's another thing, okay? Chapter 17, The Seduction of Pessimism. This chapter was amazing. Amazing, good. In Japan, this is basically saying that as human beings, we're attracted to this negative stuff. I think there's also documentaries, all stuff that talk about this, but someone says, oh, there's this guy, Ayal, or something, Ayak. This guy who made $3 billion at the start of COVID. He did the shorting that I was talking about earlier, where he said, hey, I'm going to sell it at this price you have it right now, but I'm going to buy it at whatever price it is in the future, something like that. And so he did that. Then he went on all these TV stations, NBC or something. Let me see his name. No, I forgot his name. Short market. Oh, I gotta find the guy's name. Anyway, there was this guy. Okay, I think it was Ayak and he made $1.5 billion shorting the market in COVID. Why? Because he said, listen, all the stock market's going to crash. Nobody's going to do anything ever. The markets will totally disappear. Da, da, da. And what happened, everybody believed him. Everybody believed him. And they all sold all their stuff, and then he made billions. Honestly, it should almost be, I mean, he basically robbed a bunch of people. But how you gonna get good about it, whatever. The point is, he got $1.5 billion out of the American people, the average American person investing, because he convinced them that things were going to crash. Okay? Everybody believed him. Now imagine if he said, someone came on there and said, listen, everybody, we're going to recover. The stock market is going to be just as good in 2 years. Actually, it's going to be higher than ever. All these stock prices are going to go way up. Everything's going to be perfect. There's going to be no mandates. Everybody's going to be healthy. Who would believe him, and how much people would he actually move? Probably very little. That's exactly what happened in Japan after Japan was bombed. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, World War II. And after that happened, there was like a guy who was basically saying, hey, or he's giving an example. There was a person who said basically Japan's gonna be over, it's done, blah, and like everybody believed him or whatever. But he's like, imagine if someone goes on TV at that time where it said, listen, we're gonna be a superpower in the next country in the next 10 years or 15 years. We're gonna have our highest gross domestic product, the most GDP per capita that's ever happened. We're going to rebuild everything, this and that, unemployment lowest ever, our currency's gonna be worth so much, all these amazing things. Nobody would have believed them. Yeah, they believed the guy who was very pessimistic, but all that example actually did happen in Japan at the time of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, like 10 to 15 years later. So the point is, guys, be optimistic. There's a song called Naive by Andy Grammer. You should listen to it. I love this. This is such a good thing, because in that song he basically says, if being naive is seeing the good in everything, then call me naive. Like, if that's stupid, then call me stupid, because I think there's gonna be good things happening. That kind of song is not so popular. That message is like, oh, you're so naive. It's kind of popular to like just think things are gonna go down. So it's kind of sad, but point is that that's how we are. That's how kind of things is. Chapter 18, when you'll believe anything. So this one is basically you kind of need to tell yourself something always, right? The point is, he gave an example like in the stock market, you have to have someone who says, hey, stock market's gonna go up, stock market's gonna go down, what's the predictions and this like that. But in reality, like, the predictions are like accurate 40% of the time. Meaning, if you just guessed, like, you'd be better off than these predictions. Nobody knows what the stock market's gonna do. Nobody knows what Bitcoin's gonna do. People do not know this. So, yeah. But why do people have it? Why does that happen? Because people don't want to just say, hey, nobody knows, and that's it. They want to believe something, right? Give me my horoscope, read me my tarot cards, because I want to know if I'm going to have a good marriage, or I want to know, and like, you want someone to tell you, right? So that's the point is, like, you just know there's a difference between learning something and then just having something that you believe that makes you feel good. And know that that's the difference. I think that was kind of one of the biggest things from that. Then chapter 19 was all together now, and it's basically a summary of all the stuff. So if you want to just read chapter 19 and see if you like it, the summary, because then you get each of these pieces kind of pretty good. And then chapter 20 is basically confessions. The guy saying like, hey, I'll give you all these things that are kind of cool and amazing. But he's kind of going back to that reasonable versus rational. It's kind of like, listen, yes, I know, paying off your house is really a dumb thing to do, okay? Because the mortgage is the lowest percentage that you can have, and you should have a mortgage, not pay off your house, and then put that money in the stock market, and like, it makes more sense financially, and all the history, or like, basically, it just makes sense. But he's saying like, confession, hey, I don't do that. I'm like, I wrote this book, I'm like a financial freaking guru, and I pay off my house, because you know what? I'm just trying to be reasonable, and like, I just like it to have it paid off, so like, whatever. Okay. And then otherwise, like, that the fact that he has all this money, basically doesn't use it very much. Like, he's like, listen, I don't invest in like some crazy stuff. I invest in very the little stuff, and he doesn't really care because he's like, I don't really need the money, something like that, you know. And yeah, that's pretty much the book, guys. 45 minutes to explain this book. I had fun doing this. It would have been great if I had the book with the notes. But if you do have some book, have some notes, put down below in the comments what you could use out of this book from this summary. And if you've read it, what are your favorite points? Any quotes in there so other people can read it. And this is Aaron Cordovez, guys. I'm going to be doing these book reviews, I hope, more often. And I told myself that I was going to do this and the book summary and stuff a long time ago. And I said today, I'm like, that's it. I've been thinking about it. No maybes. That's a philosophy, I believe. No maybes. You shouldn't be doing maybes about anything. If you're thinking, oh, when am I going to write the book? Just go write the book. Oh, no. Just do it. So that's what I did today before going to bed. I'm jet lagged. I'm actually in Ireland right now. And for whatever reason, even though I slept for like 3-4 hours yesterday, maybe less. And anyway, I almost shouldn't be doing it, but I'm like, I think this will help somebody, so I'm doing it. Thank you guys. Peace. Oh yeah, subscribe. Subscribe, boy.